This is the age of the future, the age of the machine. Social media has become war-torn battlegrounds. Tribes of all different ideologies band together for protection and for slaughter. Millions cry out, asking the same question: how do we survive?
Twitter's a fucking mental institution.
Will Ferrell is overrated!
I'm ready to be punched in the face. Bring it, bag.
Bitch, I have mixed feelings about you right now. Guess what, mother lick? I have mixed feelings about you too.
And I'm a crybaby, and I have a butthole in my chin.
Has the emotional range of a celery. I hate white people.
Chris Pratt is still a
They can shift the public narrative on a lot of different issues.
I've been suspended from Twitter. And I don't know why, because I didn't do anything.
A good few people have actually been jailed for sending mean tweets.
What if I told you that Twitter as a company was a giant dumpster fire to begin with?
I've been suspended yet again on Twitter.
I hate Twitter. I think about deleting mine all the time.
Twitter is a mistake.
The efforts to censor, cancel, and blacklist our fellow citizens are wrong, and they are dangerous.
I'll ask the most miserable of you for your opinion. That's kind of what Twitter's like.
Twitter was founded in 2006 by these guys, and the origins of Twitter are pretty turbulent.
We had a terrible first year and a half, actually, where the site went down a lot and was slow a lot.
We don't like censorship. We don't like being blocked. We think that the open exchange of information can have a positive global impact.
It was 4 friends who built this thing, and they wanted to build a technology that would connect them to their friends, and in doing so ended up tearing their own friendships apart.
But we don't need to dwell on history. I'm interested in the current state. Let's say you're a new user. How do you navigate this site? Ooh, there's all these follow recommendations. Let's just make some friends. Huh. Okay, we seem to have violated the terms of service for following too many people. Got it. We'll just unfollow a bunch of them and... oh, dang. We seem to have broken the rules even worse now. I think Twitter just doesn't want us to follow anyone. Okay, maybe we should just try tweeting. What's going on in my life? Oh, I know. My biology professor said there are only 2 genders. What do you guys think of that? And let's put a hashtag in there. Oh, hashtag LGBTQ, because they're gonna have a lot of great ideas about this. Oh geez, we seem to have broken another rule. Hey kid, oh my god, how did you get in my house? Let me show you how it's really done. Alright, we all know why you're here. You want to know the meta, the cream of the chaos, and the most important question: how fast can you speedrun getting banned on Twitter? Hello, you absolute legends. We're going to be discussing some tactics. But first, a quick word from our not lawyer.
Do not attempt any of the things you see in this video. This was done for research purposes and does not reflect the views of tactical consumption. Even though I am a cold, heartless robot, I am in fact not a lawyer.
First, the rules. This is going to be a glitchless run, so no changing your age exploits. No links, no pictures, no videos, because obviously posting furry porn would make it way too easy to get banned. No following, replying, retweeting, quoting, or atting someone. We're here for science, not to directly bully anyone. We also don't want to be mistaken for a bot, so limit it to 1 tweet per minute. So for the most part, we're just going to be using text and hashtags. From there, the team analyzed what could get the account banned.
Is there like automatic bots that'll just ban you?
I have no idea.
Abuse, harassment, hateful contact, and suicide or self-harm. You can't promote any of these things.
Fraudulent election.
Capital riot.
QAnon's.
I'm looking for sensitive people so that you can attract attention in order to get removed.
I mean, Black Lives Matter. Anything to do with trans. Oh, hashtag COVID-19.
Put anti-vaccine on there.
You can't threaten anybody, right?
No threats. We start the clock from sending the very first tweet. Put like a ton of hashtags in there.
Oh, yeah. I love that idea. Yeah.
I don't like our chances. I think this is going to be tricky.
This is going to be like the easiest thing ever.
From there, we tweeted.
Today we are lowering the bar for what we can subject the world to. What a terrible day to have eyes.
I'm most excited to see how offensive this ends up.
The breadth of things that just get thrown under the bus here.
What? Somebody's liking this shit. What's a movie everyone likes?
Oh my god. What am I reading?
Oh boy!
I mean, this is science.
So I think you gotta go after BTS.
Hashtag Catholic Church.
Oh, yep. Thank you. Wait, Live, Laugh, Love? You're not seeing that one?
No, neither of them. I think they've got like a sophisticated shadow banning.
Joe Rogan is my dad. Kids Bop. Dude, if you get arrested, I will buy you Kids Bop in 2019. This is freedom of speech. People literally died. So get shit posts for an hour straight.
This is the best way I could have ever spent the 4th of July weekend, all right? 3-hour mark.
I'm just amazed you're not banned.
How? I can't believe it.
I honestly don't know.
It's like almost you have to have like people following you or something.
I honestly have no idea what would actually do it.
Does this mean they're more free speech or they're lazier than I thought?
Dude, I'm gonna go take a shower right after this. Like, for both like mentally and physically disgusting. In the morning, I checked the account, and it actually did get suspended around 2:19 a.m., clocking the run in at 4 hours and 50 minutes. Now, I know this is just suspended, not technically banned, but I think it's still a good enough milestone to talk about. What do we make of this data? Well, first off, let's look at the tweet that did get the account suspended. It's talking about vaccines. I'm not really interested in the content of the tweet, but instead, the popularity of the topic. We tried a variety of hashtags, from popular ones to other more obscure things. What the f is that hashtag? And guess what? The COVID hashtags and vaccine hashtags were seen by the most amount of people for reasons I probably don't need to explain. So what does this mean? Well, there doesn't appear to be any sort of algorithm at work to flag tweets. If there was a hate speech or conspiracy theory robot censor, it should have caught some of these other monstrosities.
Place that idiot scientist under arrest!
The only evidence that I see that this was a bot is that the tweet was posted at exactly midnight. A little bit odd there, but maybe just a coincidence. I really do think that Twitter leaves its policing, its moderation, its gatekeeping to the users, which can have some interesting results in practice. Let's look at some examples of legitimate accounts, well, more legit than this one, of people who have been banned from Twitter.
The suspension came after Yiannopoulos posted this tweet.
According to the BBC, she called Adolf Hitler a, quote, brilliant artist who was ahead of his time.
I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm tweeting just like everybody else.
Anybody can say any fucking thing they want to on Twitter. If we're gonna go through Twitter and start filtering out all of the idiots, I wouldn't have a Twitter page. You sure as shit wouldn't have a Twitter page.
Folks, we gotta get good people to stand up against these people.
But my Twitter account has been suspended. When you rip out a man's tongue, you're really not saying to the rest of the world, this man was a liar. What you're saying to the rest of the world is you were afraid of what this man had to say.
But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order.
This is disgusting. If I could kill it, I would. But I legally can't.
Often, calls to action start very locally, and ideas are perpetuated up until a moderate or large influencer is speaking out about them.
Asian Americans are always a punchline, and so I think we're just trying to make a point that people will be held accountable the next time they do these sort of things.
Do you understand the point of satire?
Of course I understand satire, I'm a writer.
By entrusting a vocal minority to speak for millions of people, the mob becomes even more mobby.
It was picked up by a small group of Americans who get their information only from Twitter, the news media.
And a lot of the time, people are not suspended or removed from Twitter, so the mob has to adapt. This is where we get into cancel culture. The idea that the more people you have saying something is wrong, the more likely that person is to be suspended, banned, or canceled.
Hasta la vista, baby.
If I kill you, I'll be part of the KKK. But there'll be one that slow me, nigga.
The term cancel culture comes from the idea on why TV shows are sometimes put off the air or canceled. This idea was shifted onto the individual as early as 1981 in the song by Chic, Your Love is Canceled. So, to understand the Twitter meta, we need to understand the meta of cancel culture. How hard do you need to whack this petty pinball machine before it goes full tilt and says, you can't play the game anymore? Because this is a social phenomenon, the meta can be kind of hard to pin down. But maybe we can gain some understanding from a story. The story of SquigglyDigg. She's an animator and cartoonist, worked on some pretty cool stuff. She's got a great voice and is clearly passionate about what she does. Well, one day, Miss Digg decides to share a criticism that she found interesting on the beloved Disney movie Lilo and Stitch.
The conversation had started much earlier than that, but Lilo and Stitch came up in the chat. And somebody got curious, and they were like, well, why don't you think Lilo and Stitch is a good movie? And I answered it using mostly Calay's points from the chat, and I didn't word it very well. I was very harsh, and granted, most of the points were not my own, so I presented them very poorly.
I very often post analytical takes on old Disney movies or cartoons or, whatever.
I thought, this is a pretty good write-up, I'll post it to Twitter too, and so I did. Some famous artists on Twitter decided that they were going to retweet it and talk about how it was proof of me being a bigot.
Personally, I got something a little different out of the movie, but I certainly didn't find anything immoral about what she said. But Twitter is a different world. This thread was quickly shared everywhere. Because SquigglyDigg was criticizing a native Hawaiian girl, it must have come from a place of prejudice. Skynet, add straw man to my shopping list, please.
It comes from people within a small fandom. Like, those are the people who start this shit.
My friends need to be punished.
They started throwing a whole bunch of things in there too, like, well, Lilo is obviously coded as autistic, so obviously she hates people with special needs. If you hate Lilo and Stitch, you hate children, you hate Hawaiians, you hate all brown people by extension.
The best thing to do is you don't publicly acknowledge it, because then that encourages more. But I think I had to block something like 300 to 500 people.
It was pretty nasty for both of us for like about a month. Like, Lilo and Stitch was trending for the next 3 days.
If you were on the platform at the time, you might remember your feed filling up with all these Lilo and Stitch tweets. Well, this is why. There were even some news articles written about the whole debacle. Oh, but come on, this is Twitter drama. It's the PC babies whining online. This doesn't affect the real world. I admire your optimism, but unfortunately, it does.
Basically, the night it started to trend on Twitter, I warned my workplace. I was like, I talked to my supervisor at my job at the time. They told me to take down the post that I had made. They didn't fire me over it, no, but they basically told me to hide. You don't expect people to actually act on. It's just stupidity that they said because they're knee-jerk angry. The initial Lilo and Stitch incident, as it were, incited people to troll through my personal Tumblr account, and they found this one post where I had reblogged something. It was people talking about the cages at the border. And my addition to it was the administration that implemented this was the previous one, yada, yada, yada. It was just adding a little bit of context to it, not saying one way or another about it, but they screenshotted that. They cropped out everything else. They found a section that looked like it was justifying the putting of children in cages. And they were like, this is what she believes. Somebody discovers I have a Parler account. I realize that the site might have a bit of a stigma, but I just want to post art. And also, I don't think that any social media should be exclusively, categorized as, oh, that's where the bad guys go. So when the canceling happened again with the Parler situation, this is when I got fired from Mystery Skulls, quite publicly. And it was the night I arrived in Ireland. Not only was I in a new country, I had no friends in that country, I was going to a new job, and now the entire internet hates me and I've just lost my job.
Now, I would love to ham up Squiggly's story, saying it's unique and special, but it isn't. This kind of stuff happens all the time. There are real-world consequences for having a benign yet different opinion. Maybe we think it's not a big deal because we only seem to hear about it when it happens to celebrities.
Mr. Beast was canceled.
Called for Eminem to be canceled. He is a character. He is not me.
The reality is that because of cancel culture, there are probably thousands of people with small to moderate online influence that experience a major shift in their life. The book Panic and Persecutions, while you may not agree with its conclusions, does a fairly good job at documenting a lot of these stories.
They would say something like cancel culture doesn't exist. This is just made up. The people who get canceled that are too small to make the news that you never hear about, well, they never show up as a blip. They're never a data point. Social media has made it a lot easier to sort of organize these flash mobs that seem like they're intense, but in reality, sometimes it's just like a small group of dedicated trolls.
Maybe this is just how people are. We can't change people. We can only change ourselves. Maybe instead of asking how the meta can change, we should be asking, how can the game change? Something that's being discussed right now is whether or not social media is a utility.
The whole value of a social media platform is that you can connect with all the people you know in your circle and your friend, that they're all in one place, is what gives those social media platforms all of their value.
Maybe that is just how the internet's gonna work. But if that's the case, the public has to start having a chance.
Because social media platforms are private companies, should they be free to make their own terms and decisions? Or because of the nature of social media, the fact that by its design, people often flock to one watering hole, should it be regulated like a utility? I don't have the answer here, and I know there are countless problems with leaving this kind of work up to the robots. And I understand that awareness about a certain issue or person can have its benefits. I've often heard that Twitter is tribalistic. Well, if that's true, it might not be a far stretch to say that the cancellation crusades are war. There's a debate among historians on why war happens at all. Is it just built into our nature? Are humans naturally warlike? Or is it the leadership of a small group that rallies the troops and initiates war? Again, no answers here, but I will tell you one thing I believe. War thrives in the absence of compassion, understanding, and acceptance of those that might be or think a little differently than ourselves.
Hey! We have to take him back! What about Ohana?
Huh? Ohana means family. Family means
nobody gets left behind.
Or
forgotten.
Do you have any advice for people who wanted to start to get into animation and have a social media presence?
First off, I'd say don't have a social media presence. You don't need one. If you want an audience that matters, make your own webpage first. Like, make sure that you have something to really present. Don't do social media until you actually have something to show.
There's a reason the starving artist is a cliche, because it's, in a way, it's very, very true. And the only stuff that I would say really put your time into is something that you control, that's personal to you, and that's why I have my own website.
Real art is a lot of work. It's hard to make it as a genuine artist. So if you want to get into animation, start animating, start making something, and make sure you have it to show before you start acting like you do.
It's a way to reach out to people you usually wouldn't be able to reach out to, but ultimately, if you really, really want to do amazing, important artwork and like really make an impact in the lasting stories of the collective of humankind, social media is pretty irrelevant.
I'll have to edit all this fucking footage.
Wait, what footage?
All of this is recorded.
Are you putting this in a video? Or?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, this was the whole point. I'm not going to just do this because I think it's funny. Like, I don't...
Wait, so I'm on tape in some media saying what I said?
Yes, you are. Kitty. Sorry, I can't talk. I'm being racist.